Maharaja Suites in Jackson Heights.
Hey, dude.
Giving up Thai.
I would love to.
All right. Next time I'll let you know.
I'm going to get your number because your comms team ducks me. So I'm going to get your direct number.
Take it.
Take Beautiful. I'm going to get it after this
I'll give it to you
episode.
right now, bro. Because they'll probably yank me very quickly.
Yeah.
We got to start this immediately. Zara runs a tight ship.
Yeah, dude. She don't f around.
Yeah.
She does not.
Feel free, you can share with everybody here.
Okay, beautiful.
Also,
Socialism.
I'm so excited. Are we rolling? I'm so angry by the way that you guys did the New York City Olympics. Because I hit that guy up. I was watching the Subway tapes, and I'm forgetting the guy's name right now. My bad. But he goes, "We should have like a New York City Olympics where the boroughs compete." And I didn't DM Kareem. I DM'd the guy. And I go, "Let's make this happen. Like I am down." And he goes, "How would we do that?" And I go, "We'll find a way." And then I see you a few weeks later, like, "We're doing it." Everybody come out. Where were you? Far Rockaway or something?
No, in Coney Island.
It was Coney Island. Coney Island.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we're here with the next mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. 93% on Kalshi right now.
Yes.
Chances of victory. 93%. So, barring this doesn't go horribly, I think you're good.
This is how we bring the numbers down.
We got to get some parity here. We got to get Cuomo a
I want
chance.
people to understand this election's not over, so I'm going to tank this interview. If it's not at 85 by the end of this interview,
We're going to work on it.
not a success.
Dude, you've done, like, I want to give you, like, a few compliments here. But they're also like very validating because I think, every week I'm talking to Charlemagne and we're talking with the boys here on the pods and it's like, we keep on saying, hey, Democrats, can you please just run for something and not against somebody?
Yep.
And it is a very simple solution, but I think people at their core want to feel like their issues are addressed, and their concerns are met. Not simply that guy bad.
That's what
And then
everybody
you
wants.
guys have done it masterfully. Obviously, you're a great talent and your team is phenomenal. Zara, I know you're listening. You're great. You're great. You're great. Give us a little more time. You're great. You're great. But it was like, it was really validating to see that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, if you talk about the issues people care about and say that you're going to do something about it, they will support you. What a fucking crazy idea.
It's also crazy. The things that I would say you inspire, change and hope. The last great Democrat, those were kind of his mantras, or however you'd say it. Change and hope, and that's what you
Was
inspire.
that Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
These guys don't know the change and hope. They have been driving, people all across the world for all time, But change and hope, do they really count? I mean, the slogans change and hope, do they really count on the ground? Do they really count in the bigger scheme of things when you have entrenched forces, when you have establishments, big establishments who don't allow you to do something, who don't allow you to do positive, things for the masses, like people who have wealth, people who have power, people who have, like levers everywhere. So, I mean, these are good sound bites.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's been lost a little bit.
I appreciate you guys. I think it's just, there's been a lot of lecturing and not much listening. And, we saw a swing towards Trump here in New York City in the last general election.
Whose responsibility was that? Who the hell made that? What the fuck are we even talking about?
Those guys.
Yeah.
I can't believe they did this.
But it was
Name them.
there are a lot of caricatures of who Trump voters are. And in New York City, we saw the swing was actually in the heart of immigrant New York. And I went to Hillside Avenue in Queens. I went to Fordham Road in the Bronx. And I asked New Yorkers, who did you vote for and why? And I met the vast majority of them were Trump voters. And I asked them why. And it just came back to cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And if I had spent that time lecturing them as to why they were wrong, as opposed to listening to them as to how we could get right.
Yes.
Then we would run a very different campaign.
And this is one thing I said I wanted to talk about. I feel like the establishment Democrats don't understand a pretty simple thing. We want to vote for someone who might make things better. Even if the risk is it will make things worse. A lot of people voted for Trump because he might make things better. And the other person is saying, I wouldn't change anything. Things are not good. In New York, things are not good right now. The
most
other guy,
expensive city
to
in
me, is
America.
just saying it's the same, and you're saying it could get better.
It's a privilege to maintain the status quo. You know what I mean? Like if it, like we're privileged, like it's very nice to know that we're going to be okay. Listen, delete this.
I just hit the Jordan DSA link.
No, it's
we can't afford more of the same.
So here's the thing. Like, it's so funny because I saw it was like Tucker Carlson and Charlie Kirk and they were talking about you. I don't know if you remember this.
I didn't see this.
But they were speaking, and it was almost like this shoehorn theory. Have you ever seen that, like politically, what happened?
Horseshoe.
Oh, sorry. Horseshoe, yeah. So it's like, and I think that they were basically saying that you were meeting the moment in terms of what people are concerned with, right? And it's obviously a cost of living, and it's like, I think it's so specific. I think it's like, it's rent, and I think everything is derivative of rent.
Yeah.
And
It's the number one issue in the
My
city.
rent is
The number-
too high.
yes,
I
bro.
just want somebody to pay my rent.
I started looking up numbers because, like,
Yeah. I mean, these are really.
I think a
real
2-bedroom 6 years ago was the average 2-bedroom compared to right now, I think has gone up 90%.
I mean, it's untenable, right? Like, and I think this is the thing that
90%, almost doubled in 6 years.
That's great.
how are people supposed to keep up with this? And I think what's so kind of to what you guys were saying, if the politics on offer is right now is as good as it's ever going to get, that's not good enough for the vast majority of people.
And I think it speaks to how out of touch a lot of them are.
Yeah, and I think it's just I spoke to a nurse who, after she finishes her shift, she drives for an hour and a half, leaving the state of New York to get to where she can afford a place.
Wow.
That's what you're putting working people through. People are living in Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Jersey City, commuting it.
Dude, white people have to live in the outer boroughs. We need to fix this. What the hell's going on here?
This is what happens when you call him a socialist. You got to overthrow him.
It's just like, I'm going after Astoria. I'm going after Sheets and Bay.
Come on, the Greeks are not white. No, but continue, please. Yeah. It is absurd that in order to afford her life, and there are obviously certain like circumstances that have created this situation. What I want to talk about more is, because I looked at your plan to go fix it, and I would really like this to be able to happen. A lot of people are making this like impending war about you and Trump. I think it's going to be you and Albany, bro. Can you speak a little bit more on that? Like what you need Albany to essentially allow you to do?
Yeah.
There are restrictions in government. Like there are systems in place that don't allow you to do what you want, even if you think it's in the best interest of people, and even if that's what the people want. So how are you going to convince Hochul? How are you going to convince these people to allow you to enact these policies?
So New York City continues to be a creature of the state. New York City, if you have an ambition for the city that matches the scale of the crisis, you have to have an Albany agenda.
Yep.
So when de Blasio wanted to deliver universal pre-K, he knew he would have to go to Albany to get that money. He actually overcame the objections of then Governor Andrew Cuomo to get that money to make this a reality. Now it is one of the best examples of government actually meeting the needs of working people. And so when we talk about raising revenue, raising taxes on the top 1% by 2%, the top corporate tax to match that of New Jersey, that's something we will do in Albany. And that's partially why the endorsements of Governor
Hochul. You almost said it. You almost said it.
I'll never be taking that one.
You almost said it.
Governor
He's
Hochul.
posting that on Instagram immediately.
He's taking that. You see, the trauma is coming back. having to deal with that man so much. Governor Hochul, Assembly Speaker Carl Haystree, Majority Leader of the state Senate Andrea Stewart-Cousins. These are endorsements not just of me, but of the agenda. Because in Albany, it's often spoken about as 3 men in a room. Now it's 2 women and a man who are in that room. And to have the endorsements of all of them,
huge.
It's huge, and it paves the way.
I also think
for,
it's
for this
to
agenda.
Like your political momentum, right?
Thank you.
No. And I mean that. I don't even mean it as a compliment. I mean,
damn,
like,
I take that back.
It's like a guy once told me, America doesn't have allies; it has interests. And I think that politicians are often that way. I can't speak about you, but
it's
like,
not just about the America.
Hochul needs re-election, and she's gonna. It's next year, right?
All the countries.
I imagine she's thinking, okay, if I raise taxes like you would want, I might lose some of my constituents. But she's also probably thinking, if this guy is such a tsunami, and if I rebuke him, I could also lose people. So is your strategy to have so much support in a Trump-esque version? Like he's the only other example I can see that has like found a way to completely transform his party. Is your strategy get so much support that Hochul's political future is dependent on her connectivity to you?
My strategy is to build the political will such that Governor Hochul has a partner in delivering universal child
He's a
care.
good man. He's a politician.
he's good.
Because
He's a politician.
look, Governor Hochul has spoken.
Bend the knee.
Governor
He said,
Hochul,
bend the knee.
Governor Hochul has said she wants to deliver
very well
universal
spoken,
child
very
care.
well
What she's
spoken.
had in
Yeah,
the
I
mayor we
must
have
say.
right now is someone more
You
focused on
always
getting
lies,
out of
you
jail
always lies.
Right.
than actually
Very well
funding
researched,
these kinds of
very well
Or
programs.
partying, we're going to bring 11 to
A
New
very
York. That
good
is a fire idea. You shouldn't even know what that is.
I didn't know what it was until you posted the clip, and I was like, I guess
And
this
now
is
you're
it.
like, let him run against
That's all we need to see. You can still bring it though. Add that to your platform.
Okay. You were saying.
So I think it's what are you using your political capital for? Because the same people who will say, oh, we can't afford free buses. We can't afford $700 million a year in making the slowest buses in America fast and free.
I don't agree with that. I think you can. Like that. No. Like, but here's the thing. Like,
Can I put that on the website?
You can put
Yeah,
whatever you
like
want.
this.
Like, I also think this idea that like New Yorkers are going to flee because of a 2% increase. It's like I've been everywhere else. You're not going anywhere.
Come
Bill
on.
Ackman's not going nowhere. He's going to be in the Hamptons all
There's
fucking
only
summer.
one place to write those tweets.
That's it.
New York City.
Exactly.
Every character you want.
Your AC goes
Write 'em.
out in July in Miami. You sweating writing tweets? There's
He's
no way.
spending more money against me than I would even tax him. Every day it's like $1 million. It's like $1 million. I'm like, Habibi, I don't even want that. You're going above and beyond.
Okay, but so I don't think anybody's
that
moving,
even
and I
drops
honestly
in
feel that
everybody.
way. And like I'm in the tax bracket. We're going to tax more. Like, dude, if you're going to deliver all this shit for 2%, give it. I'm 100% supportive. If it makes life easier for New Yorkers. This is my one identity in my entire life is a New Yorker. It's the thing I care the most about. But what I will say is that I think that there are going to be people in government that are going to try to restrict you from doing that. And I know that you're aware of that. So I'm like, how? And there are people that might disagree on economic policy. We can have like a philosophical discussion about like what economic policy works. But I don't even know I think that's like a waste of time. What the fuck do you do when special interest groups are going to be lobbying like crazy? They're going to say, I want to build 200,000 units. And then the second you try, they're going to be like, well, not in my neighborhood, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, you have
How
to.
do you do that?
You have to be ready to take on these fights. You cannot be
He's
naive
taking
to
on
the
it right
fact.
now. Special interest groups are.
But I mean, I appreciate the point because there is a reason why we haven't had progress, right? If you look, for example, at the Department of Education, this is the agency we spend the most amount of money on in any agency in New York City.
Yep.
Of the $40 billion we spend about $10 billion on contracts and consultants.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of people who are looking forward to the renewal of their contract.
No, it's to educate you nerds at Bronx Science. Some of us dumb kids that went to regular public school, we don't need all that money.
Look, you know?
Where'd you go to high school?
Baruch College Campus.
What was your mascot?
The Blue Devils.
All right.
Yeah. Which
It's
we
actually
just chose.
a white devil. Isn't that funny? Who are you? Habibi, let's talk about it after.
Segue.
Segue. Get us back to Hochul.
Pivot.
Get us back to Hochul.
But here's my point. There are people making money off the status quo. And so there will be a lot of interest in retaining that status quo.
Yeah.
Right now, the city of New York will pay McKinsey a few $1 million to design a trash can. McKinsey's not going to be happy when I say we don't need you to design that anymore.
Right,
We can
right.
actually design that ourselves. The Second Avenue subway,
Yeah.
which is the most recent extension of New York City subway.
Shut
lines.
that shit down, bro.
Okay, that's not where I'm going.
Shut that shit
I don't know. Where
Ain't
are you taking
nobody
this?
need a subway on Second Avenue.
It's actually a
bro.
Why are
beautiful
you so
thing.
against? Why are you and
need
Curtis
it.
Sliwa
You
so against the
don't
Second
need
Avenue
it
subway?
because we're from Manhattan.
You don't want to get to 125th Street? on
Never
Second
go to Upper East Side.
I grew up. I went to middle school there. I went to elementary school
You don't
there.
go there now.
I know, but so I don't need it. No, the last place you need a subway is on the Upper East Side. They're going to be okay. They're not leaving. Bring a subway down to Tribeca or something like that.
It's wherever you are.
Connect the Q train to something.
That's what I'm trying to do.
What is this Second Avenue subway?
You don't take the subway.
So what? It's not about that. You know what I mean? I'm here giving my 2%, but not to the Second Avenue subway. I'm not going to spend another 2% on Second Avenue.
the
for the
Central
subway.
Avenue,
Tell
dude.
them walk 2 more blocks and then take the 6.
Look, I think we got to go from 96th Street to
Did
120th.
you just hear what he says? He goes,
avenues.
No, it is long.
That's way
It is long.
long.
That's a good point. It is
Nah, that's
long.
right. That's 8 blocks mathematically.
What I'm saying is, why are you trying to build more white people subways, man?
Look at this. Look at this. So you were fine with the Second Avenue subway,
only white
72nd,
people over there.
86, 96, but you don't want to go to 125th?
I never wanted it at any of those stops.
Here's my point.
I've always been against the Second Avenue subway. They want to live over there and make them walk. I dated a girl over there. That shit was horrible. I had to walk and they gotta walk. I was walking to York Avenue in shorts.
I feel like I'm talking to Eric Adams.
Fucking December. You know, bring an 11. Put an 11 on the Second Avenue subway. Use the poles.
Here's
his point.
Here's my point, though. Is that people in Harlem were promised a subway to 125th Street on the Second Avenue decades ago.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
it's taken us so long to even get to this.
Why didn't we start with them?
We had to connect it.
What is it? But you could connect it the other way too. We could have started it up there.
But where are they going to take it from 125th to 116? That's as long as the 2 Avenue 160.
Yeah, I'm actually here to announce that the head of design at the MTA is about to be stand right here.
Thank you. I would have done that too. Now you're making some good decisions.
Yeah.
All right. I'm taking back my 2% if I'm gonna work for it though. No. I hear what you're saying. You got to connect it to 51st Street.
But I think the larger point here is though that like when they did the first phase of construction for the Second Avenue subway, the MTA spent more money on consultants than construction.
Yeah.
So this is part of the issue is that you're right that we're going to have to transform the inner workings of government.
Yeah.
And that means ending a patronage politics. There are a lot of people who have jobs more to do with who they know than what they do.
Yeah. No,
and that's not specific to Eric Adams.
And
It sounds like you want to create a Department of Government Efficiency. Kind of sounds like. Because when I said I was in favor of it, this liberal cuck, when it was a Republican idea, hated it. And now I'm in favor. Now look at him nodding.
Donnie, we are not going to judge people who like to watch others have sex with their wives. That is their... That's it.
I'm bringing it back to efficiency.
Okay, sorry.
I'm bringing it back to waste.
Some people say that's efficient and waste.
You can wait for Andrew Cuomo to have these other conversations. Right? Sorry.
You know he's going to love
back.
Okay, go.
But here's my point: is that it is sad that we've let someone like Elon Musk take the words efficiency, fraud, as if they are right-wing concerns.
I agree.
These are actually the concerns that should be at the heart of a progressive politics.
Yes.
Because I want to increase taxes on the top 1% by 2%. And I also want those same New Yorkers to be able to look at that increased revenue and say every single one of these dollars is being spent efficiently.
Yeah.
It can't be in and of itself the reason why you do it. It has to be what you deliver with that money.
I think like Doge was universally supported before it became what it was. But the idea...
Well, it was never actually intended to fulfill the intentions.
Got it.
But the intentions...
The intentions were right.
Of
I think
eliminating
most people
fraud
agree.
Let's
eliminate
and
it.
I love that. Guys, Generational Triumph Tour. First of all, San Jose. All the shows are sold out. We just added one Sunday. Australia. We had an Australia run in February. Most of those shows are sold out. We're going to add some more. And then Chicago.
Guys,
It's like fucking absurd.
hour of stand-up comedy, no more, no less. I can't wait. Come out and shake my hand. I'll see you there.
So if rent is the most important issue, which I think we all agree, it's like fucking absurd. The rent freeze was like incredibly effective communication, right? This idea, because everybody else is talking about, we're going to build all these units. When you're drowning, you're not worried about like someone building you a boat. You need a life vest. I get that 100%. I think that makes sense. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you can do that to like about 50% of the units in New York.
Yeah.
Because those are
apartments pretty much.
They're like the rent stabilized or rent controlled units.
About 2.5 million New Yorkers live in these kinds of apartments.
Got it.
Yeah.
How do you offer relief to the other 50%? And let me just clarify to people listening, like those other 50% aren't necessarily people who are wealthy.
They're just living in market rate units.
And people that work here and they just didn't have the ability to get one of these, rent controlled units.
And so I'd first say there's rent control, which is a very small minority.
Yeah.
The vast majority of what we're talking about is rent stabilization. Rent stabilization means there's a limit on how much your rent can increase every year. It's not what your rent is, it's what the increase will be. And it's all determined by a board called the Rent Guidelines Board, composed of 9 people that the mayor appoints.
You can appoint them.
Yes.
But I think the appointing process might even take a little bit, right? It's not like day 1 you do it.
It's each of these terms are on kind of a rotating basis.
Got it.
And there are a number of these terms that are open right now.
Got it. So you can point some, and there might be some people that are empathetic to your philosophies already. So.
Because they actually did a study. That same board, under Eric Adams, did a study. It found that landlord profits had increased 12% of those units in the same year that the median household income of tenants of those units was $60,000. And with that information, they decided, let's hike the rent again. So it actually doesn't have to do with the data.
Got it.
But the point that you're making is right, which is that we have to have a housing policy for all 8.5 million people. That's why you couple a rent freeze with construction of 200,000 truly affordable homes. The reason I say truly is because, like, I represent Steinway in Astoria, right? I'll call a constituent, I'll say, there's a new affordable housing development coming up. Do you want to apply? They'll say, how much do I have to make? I say $140,000. They hang up the phone.
Yeah, affordable housing.
Because how are they going to afford that, right?
Yeah.
And so my point is thinking about affordability more with the median household income in New York City, which is $70,000 for a family of four.
I love it.
So you have to increase that, and you have to make it easier for the private sector to also build.
I agree with you 100%. Like, I think Ezra Klein put out a great book that I think that he's been like unfairly maligned by a lot of people on the left, but like where he's just going, hey, I appreciate democratic policies. I want to implement them. I think they're better for people, but there are certain things that we need to remove so that we can be competitive in an open market.
And I think that there's a truth to that where, look, I'm somebody who believes in the public sector.
Yeah.
I believe in regulation.
Yeah.
I also believe that if I can't give you the reason for the regulation, then it has no reason to exist.
Yeah.
I cannot justify a restaurant giving the city every year $25 for the right to sell a frozen dessert. That doesn't make sense. Right? That is something that should be eliminated. I cannot justify someone who wants to open a barbershop filling out 24 forms, going to 7 agencies, and then attending 12 in-person events. That does not make sense to me.
Right.
So I think that there is a truth to some of the regulations we've created have made it far more difficult to build housing. And even the justifications we used back then are not the ones that have been borne out today. So we need to change those.
So how do we, first of all, I completely agree. And as like someone who has someone renovating above me, please believe I like the fact that there is regulation. Do you know what I mean? Like I have a kid who's 21 months old. It's like they want to sleep, and if somebody's just going to be banging 21. This guy's a rapper.
21 months old.
Yes. So and she'll never listen to 21 Savage. And,
apologies.
And so I guess my question is like, how do we get those 200,000 units out? Because the real only thing that's going to solve this crisis, and it's a legitimate crisis, like, is more units. You can freeze rent, you can do all these things.
You have to do it with more.
And some people, and I'm sure you would probably acknowledge this, said like even freezing rent within the controllable units that you have could cause like a surplus pressure in the non-controlled units, and those might go up. So while we protect those 50%, the other people who are making the same amount of money as them, because of those market pressures, could have increased rent.
Corporations are going to make their money.
And that's why you have to take this as an opportunity to also tackle the costs that landlords are facing. Because when I speak to landlords,
talk to me about that. That's interesting.
I hear that the insurance of affordable housing units has doubled in the last few years. Right. And that cost is one that is driving so much of the pressure.
That's interesting.
And there's a number of those landlords that came together to create a different risk pool through something called Milford Street Captive. And they've managed to depress that cost. What if the city invested in that kind of a mechanism to help those landlords address that? The other thing here is that...
Are they gouging the affordable housing units because they know that they're government backed?
No, they're gouging them because there's money to be made.
But right? in the same way that like universities can charge whatever they want for an education because they know the government will back the loans? Like, is that...
To me, what this gouging more looks like is there are many providers who are now paying the cost of a number of bad landlords who have made insurance such a high part of doing business.
Got it.
Right? And so you have better providers who are pooling their risk together.
Got it.
And so my point here is if you invested a significant amount of capital, you could assist that kind of an intervention.
Got it.
The second thing is you have a property tax system that's broken in New York City, one that effectively penalizes rental apartments and the owners of those rental apartments. And if you had a system that incentivized the construction of rental apartments, you could have a very different landscape of housing. So to me, it's freeze the rent and take on the cost of insurance and fix a broken property tax system and streamline development and have the city produce 200,000 homes. And often when I've talked about 200,000 homes, that's just what I think the city should do. I think the privite sector should be doing an immense amount of additional construction.
But they're going to need incentive structures as well, right? Like there was that program, forgetting what it was. Was it... and
421A, then 485A?
I think that you're talking about the HTPSA that just sunset recently?
You're speaking about the
That's the extension of
HST
421A.
No, these are separate things.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about 2019 rent laws.
Yes,
Yes.
but that's not what I was referencing.
Then there's the tax incentive.
This guy
There's
has
421A
really
now,
knowledge
45X or
of the things that
45W.
he is
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one that basically allowed
affordability and
developers over a 35-year
Because he has
period.
really worked into those things. I don't know if you have heard about
So
him, but
essentially the idea is there was like a tax abatement for 35 years. For the first 25 years, they didn't pay. The last 10, they started increasing 10% every year. And at the end of the 35, all the units were now free market. But I think at a certain point in time, 30% of them were like rent controlled.
There's stabilization and there's a set aside for affordability.
And again, I don't know like what metrics work, and I'm not like an economist, and I'm not a developer. But to me, just from talking to some people in development, they said that like since this, I think what was it, the HTPSA, since that, or if it was this program, was this Affordable New York?
HSTP is the Housing Stabilization Tenant Protection Act.
That was the de
HSTP.
Blasio thing. That's not this thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're basic. Well, I'll kind of step back for a second.
Please, yeah.
You'll hear from developers that the HSTPA passed in 2019 made it more difficult for them to maintain a lot of housing units because it put limitations on what they could do with regards to profit and how they could push many tenants out of those same tenant buildings. At the same time, there's the incentive through 421A that has since been renewed to become something called 485, which is a tax incentive for the construction of new housing.
Is that the New York Yes or whatever, or is that Affordable New York?
There's City of Yes.
City of Yes.
These are three different things.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
But,
can
but I think here's the thing is that most New Yorkers don't have time to know every single set of numbers and letters,
single one.
right?
it's
But that's representative of more New Yorkers than those who know.
Yeah.
And that's our job to break this down, right? What City of Yes does is it makes it easier to construct more housing across New York City. It changes zoning regulations. It's estimated to allow for the additional construction of a little less than 90,000 new units.
Yep.
We have to build on top of that. It has to be even more than that.
Yep.
My point here is that when I speak to developers, we'll have disagreements about labor. We'll have disagreements about maybe materials and the cost of it. One place we have a real agreement about is the cost of waiting. Many of these developers will tell me one of the most expensive things they have to deal with is the wait.
Yep.
They'll put in an application, they'll put forward a bid, and then they'll have to wait and wait and wait. And we know time is money.
Happens
Because you're not just
all
waiting,
across
you're
the
also
world.
paying other people who are waiting with you.
Red tape.
And there is an
Baksheesh.
environmental law at the state level called
They need
SECRA.
baksheesh to
SECRA
move the fire.
requires you, when you're putting forward an application, to estimate the traffic flows of 10 to 15 years from now. So when they did the Williamsburg rezoning,
right.
they were asking people to estimate these traffic flows before Lyft and Uber existed in New York City.
Right.
And so now, obviously, their presence in New York City makes a mockery of any estimate that was made prior to that.
Right.
And yet that estimate is still one you could be held liable for in court, saying
Right.
you said it would be this and now it's this.
Right.
And so to me, these are examples of what you were bringing up earlier of how do we bring these regulations more in line with reality, and how do we ensure that we are able to build the immense amount of housing we need so that we can actually have New Yorkers stay here.
Yeah.
That's the goal, because we're building 4 homes per 1,000 people. Jersey City's at 7.
Yeah.
Tokyo's at nearly 10.
What is Houston at?
Tell me.
They're doing an unbelievable
Yeah.
amount, like, because there's just no regulation. Now, there's different circumstances. You're
Also
not
a lot
building
of
on
land.
top of each other,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more land. I understand it. And I don't like those comparisons generally, because New York is such a specific city. We're living on top of each other and next to each other, and there's different considerations that we have to make. Okay, the HTPSA.
HSTPA.
Yes.
My boy about to say HSBC.
Bro, I almost said it.
World's local bank. I feel like I'm on the airport just walking through the. They always got the ads.
So like, some people would say, and I think you just mentioned it, that like this was a progressive policy that had a really good idea. It's like, how do we protect these people that are in these rent stabilized units from being pushed out? And then obviously what landlords would say is, you've created a situation because you can, once something is rent stabilized, it can no longer be brought to free market rent, that it doesn't incentivize them to renovate the spaces. And now they have these like zombie apartments or ghost apartments. And I saw that one of your policies was to like impose punitive damages on like these big conglomerates like BlackRock that own all these, that could be anything from brownstones to buildings that have these vacant units, right? And I have different theories on that, but do you think that policy did lend itself to making these zombie apartments from a perspective of, it's not worth it as a landlord to reinvest in this unit because I can't extract the rent that would justify that?
So I think the HSCPA was a good thing. I think it was a good thing because what you had prior to it was many landlords taking units out of rent stabilization and using a vacancy bonus that they could receive when you pushed out a tenant as the reason they would continue to harass.
Yeah, I think it was like
many
a 20%
tenants.
bonus that you could get.
And obviously, you can imagine how many tenants were having to face that kind of harassment.
To put it in perspective, like my friend Carlos growing up, like he was in a rent control building and they literally just stopped accepting his family's rent. And he had to put the rent in escrow during like a multiple year process where they were just trying to get him out of the building because they were obviously trying to flip the building. So
And I
say that to
wish-
say that like I 100% empathize with that, and that is a real issue.
Yes.
But sometimes protecting real issues can cause other ones that are unintended.
And that's where I think that, the policies I put forward that you're referring to, there's two separate things. One is ensuring that we're actually holding bad landlords accountable. This is about violations of housing code. Because right now, the city of New York is owed $800 million by landlords who have violated housing codes that the city has not collected a dollar on. It's just sitting there.
Why is that?
Yeah, why?
The lack of political will.
Is it lobbying? Is it BlackRock going, I'm going to fight this?
The same landlords who are saying we can't afford a rent freeze dropped $2 million against me in the primary. So my point being is that $2 million. The same landlords who are saying we can't afford a rent freeze dropped $2 million against me in the primary.
Yeah.
So my point being is that there is money. And I think you're right that we have to take all of these concerns seriously. And what I've actually proposed with vacant units is having an actual study being done on the number of them and the reason for why they are currently being held off the market and finding what is the cost of bringing them back online. Because there's a lot of discourse, a lot of anecdote. We want to get to the facts of it.
Because there's like a circumstance where you look at, and I'm sure it happens in New York City as well, but like Vancouver, for example, where there's a lot of foreign investment in apartment buildings out there, and then the people of Vancouver just couldn't afford to buy into their own city that they lived their whole life. And I get that.
When I was a foreclosure prevention housing counselor before I was an assembly member. And when I was running for assembly, at that point, 1/3 of all homes purchased in Queens were being purchased by unnamed LLCs. 1/3.
Does that, and what would that mean? Is that somebody trying to be sneaky on taxes, or is that somebody that is an outside?
There's a lot of hollowing out of neighborhoods where you're purchasing it oftentimes for the intent of flipping it, where you're purchasing it. And this is part of the issue where so much of what has been the foundation of stability for so many New Yorkers has become seen as an opportunity for something like private equity.
All right, guys, let's take a break from this communist trash.
Yeah.
For 1 second,
Thank
we need
God,
to talk
dude.
about unbridled capitalism.
Thank God. While we still have some money.
While we still have a by
Got paid
BBC.
all this money for it.
Collective smart your game. Guys, you the fee of like
Love it, bro. That shit was fire.
right now, you're gonna get your Blue Chew. You just go to bluechew.com/flagrant. All right, you know David already got it. For her though. For her. Anyway, bluechew.com/flagrant. Use the promo code flagrant. Let's get back to the show. This is where we get into like the philosophy of like what is housing? Like, is housing?
Hit 'em.
No, like, and this is where it's like I have empathy for both sides. Like, I have empathy for the Puerto Rican family that worked their entire life and they were able to like buy this brownstone and they were told that like real estate is the only thing. Like, my parents were financially illiterate. They got lucky. They bought an artisan residence loft in a neighborhood that was too fucking dangerous for us to live in that ended up getting flipped around by NYU. It's like pure luck, you know? So it's like, so I have empathy for these people that put everything in it, right? And then at the same time, I also see there are people that are kind of holding hostage an asset class that we maybe should look more at as like, I don't want to say a utility, but like there can be a little bit more restriction when it comes to like a roof over your head. So I have empathy for your communist position.
I was getting nervous about his own thoughts.
I see you.
He said, I gotta get out of this one. I don't know how I got here. I'll be in this thing.
No, it's like
No, but I hear you. This is. I
you
mean,
could probably
this
articulate
is,
what I'm saying.
No,
better, but
it's that you have something which is a necessity for people's
and
lives.
it's tricky. So it's like,
And
what if
it's
somebody
being
invested
treated,
in water?
It's been treated, exactly, and it's been
and then
treated as a
restricted
means
that.
by which to make profit.
Yeah.
And so I know that there are many who bought into this system with the promise of unrestricted profit. That's what it was before the HSTPA.
Yeah.
And one of the issues you're hearing from a lot of landlords is they entered into loans with banks that could only be paid back if they evicted a majority of the tenants who were paying the rent at the time they purchased the building.
Yeah.
And that's also why I have empathy when we're hearing about insurance costs and water bills and Con Ed and property taxes, because those are also costs that are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's how do we create a city where we understand housing as a human right and also ensure that our affordability agenda is universal. It's tenants, homeowners, landlords.
I think in order to do it, like in order to do it with rent stabilization or rent control, it's going to need to be government funded, because I don't think any private developers are going to see the incentive structure that they need to put that kind of capital in. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have to raise money. And I saw on one of your things was you were considering, selling muni bonds, right? And I think you want to raise like $100 billion over 10 years, right? So we're looking at like, I think 70% of that was coming from the muni bonds. So it's like, we're looking at, let's say on average.
We're saying we're at 30 million. We got to get, 30 million.
But like, and like, it's an ambitious endeavor, There are some limitations, as I'm sure you looked at, and this is where we go back to Albany. It's like, I looked into this. It's like, you got to raise the debt ceiling in order to be able to do that. Like, you got to ask Kathy to do that. Or if Kathy loses, you got to ask, what is it, Stefanik?
We're not even talking about Stefanik.
Then that's not going to happen. They're going to fight you tooth and nail.
We're not going to have to worry about that hypothetical.
Okay.
With Stefanik.
Okay, fair enough.
But you look.
So what do you do in that scenario? Because
I think this is, we're talking about, right, the current law is 10% of the 5-year valuation of real estate in New York City, right? And having to change that. And I think this is where politicians don't get to decide the scale of the crisis they're facing. They get to decide how they want to respond to it.
Facts.
And so this is an ambitious agenda, no question about it. But this is a time where if we don't match that crisis with that ambition, we're going to lose people.
But you are held hostage by their will to match.
That's what I'm saying.
And what I would argue is that I've been in Albany. I've seen legislators and legislative leaders who've had a vision of a city where you tax the wealthiest a little bit more to provide for everyone. And they haven't had a partner in a mayor. It's not to say it's going to be easy, but my point is that we haven't even tried.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Like,
so
Andrew Cuomo is an example of not trying. He had 10 years of running
he had
the
some
state.
deaths to cover up. I mean, poor guy, you know what I mean? He's got his hands full, groping some people. It was busy. His hands were full, literally.
Sliwa had a bar, dude. Killing grannies and grabbing fannies is on the bar.
Sliwa had some bars on the debate stage.
You love his hat. You want that shit.
I can't believe that I'm being called a communist and the Republican nominee is wearing a red ring.
I keep calling him Emily in Paris. But shout out Chris. But yes, so what you're saying is
you're like shouting out a sponsor of the show.
Yeah, it's a Netflix show. But shout out Calci. You're at 80%.
It's going well.
No, but so what you're saying is that there might be people in Albany that are more sympathetic, but because they've been up against a mayor in New York that has maybe no sympathy because they've been put in power by people who do not want this change, then they're not willing to. That's an interesting perspective, that they do not have the political capital.
The coalition. And I think this is the other thing is that we, from the beginning of this race, we wanted to break out of the bubble of New York City politics and get into the world of New York City.
I thought you just didn't want to go to Israel. I thought that's what this thing is about. No, go on. One of the best moments ever. It was that moment, and then the one in the debate recently where fucking Cuomo couldn't say whether he was going to go to the Mets game or the Knicks game.
He said he wanted to go to both.
Bro, and like, you'll have moments
just
where...
pick one.
Exactly.
Just pick it.
Exactly. You'll have moments where like you cut through like political fraudulence, and he's just like, I would do half and half, and you go, this guy.
When they asked the question in my mind, I was like, like there's no wrong answer here. And then he created the wrong answer. And it's like, just pick an answer.
It is a 5-year-old
How are
answer.
you, how are
I
you
do
going
both
to
of them.
lose?
It's the next game. though.
Come on.
Because you're so poised, you're so articulate, and he said it, and you're just like, this fucking. I saw you throw your hands up.
You created that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, it's but look, I grew up in the city, and I've often seen the city that our politics cares about, and then the rest of the city, and there's that divide. And when I actually spoke to Trump voters, in Queens and in the Bronx, it felt like here was a campaign that was bridging that divide, that was getting beyond that bubble.
Right.
And we have to, if we want to actually have people believe in democracy, we have to show that democracy can deliver on their needs.
Right.
Like, I can't go and knock on somebody's door and say, help me fight for the ideal or the value of democracy. I have to go to that door and say, this is how this democracy is going to make it easier for you to afford your apartment.
Yes.
This is how this democracy is going to make it easier for you to afford your groceries. I mean, Fiorello LaGuardia said, you can't preach liberty to a starving land. And that's what we've been doing for so many years.
So, what do you do? And this is like my concern. What do you do if you get strung up by the bureaucracy in the system? Because after talking to you, and even before talking to you, I genuinely think you believe this stuff. I don't think you're somebody who's like selling a dream that you don't believe in. And I don't think it's possible to communicate in the way that you've communicated and like touch people
Without authenticity.
without the authenticity. But like, I'm worried about entrenched politics.
Yep.
And I'm worried about the people that fund them, because they're the same people that have been fundraising against you.
No.
Okay. And I'm worried about them bending to their whim. And what scares me a little bit is there are going to be people that are incentivized for you to fail. Mm-hmm. And then if that pendulum swings all the way the other way, how many more people get hurt? And I guess my question is like, do you ever worry about that? Or do you have to be so blinders on that you're going to win? Like, I love this city more than anything. And it is something I consider. Like, what if we get the complete opposite of you that has like no care about the tenants, no care about what people are paying rent? Some guy who comes in and just goes, hey, this is a free market. Welcome to New York. It's capitalism.
You're
Like,
talking
if
about
you-
Andrew Cuomo.
But like,
Right,
I
that's-
think
that's what
it can be
happens.
crazier than
No,
that.
and I think my point here is that there is going to be immense opposition. There are incredible incentives to fight our agenda. What gives me hope is that the billionaires spending millions against me right now, they're not doing so because they're afraid my plans won't work. They're doing so because they're afraid that they will.
And how would that not incentivize them in some way? If people in the city have more money, they have more money to spend on whatever
That's my
businesses
point.
they have. Like,
If you look at the actual studies of free buses, it costs $700 million. It generates more than double that in economic benefit.
put a bus
By
on Second Avenue.
You're a one-issue voter. I was asking myself, who is Curtis Lee talking to? 'Cause I'm not extending the Second Avenue subway, and it's this guy.
Curtis, I love you, baby. I love you, comrade.
It's Mr. Housing is a human right, but I don't want trains to 125th Street.
Well, here's what I
I
think.
do feel like it's a human right housing. I knew. No, I knew.
To my left, Andrew Schulz.
Literally.
We got it, boys. We did it.
Not a human right in terms. Well, yeah. Like, I don't think anybody should get a house. I do feel that way.
You got the mission accomplished manner?
Yes.
Can you bring it up?
No, I don't think
Affordable
anybody
housing
knows
is
him
a
would know
human
this
right.
is he's
Andrew
been
Schulz.
fairly liberal most of his life. These are things he would believe. I think what we worry about is that it won't work. And then my larger worry, if you are a kind of like you are a test for all of America. You are a case study, whether you realize this or not.
Yep.
And if you promise all these things and you deliver 40% of it, 40% is New York will be better off. But people will look at you nationwide, maybe worldwide, and say, you know what, that shit didn't work. Look at all the things he accomplished and look at what he couldn't get done. And yeah, they're spending millions. Billionaires are spending millions to stop you now. My fear, they're spending millions so they don't
must
have to
not be
spend
afraid.
tens of millions later.
Ooh, that's a great point.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna block everything he wants to get done. I just want to save a little money, just have him lose, so I don't have to spend more later. That's my fear. And I root for you because it feels authentic. I actually trust you more because you're not born in America. And I mean that. No. Hold on. Let me say it because he cannot be president.
That's the part I dislike.
No, hold on. Because you cannot be president.
Yeah.
So many politicians, what do they aspire to? You're a star. I would look at that guy and go, he could be president one day. With you, that's not even an option. So I trust your incentives more. I just care about the city. What do I want to be governor of the state? Who gives a fuck? Your stardom.
Mayor's above
extends
governor,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It is though, right?
I'm looking forward to working with the governor.
Be honest, growing up in New York, did you ever respect the governor?
I'm looking forward to work with the governor.
I'll go with the
deliver on this
whole
agenda.
I just found out we had a female governor. I had no clue. I thought it was still the blind guy. I thought it was the blind guy.
No, but he's right.
That was
In
like
terms
2 governors ago.
in terms of star
he was a
power,
great governor. It was the
Governor Patterson?
Patterson was fantastic.
He was like a villain.
They put him on the first base. They put him on first base at the Yankee game. The poor guy. Do you remember the photo op?
in terms of star power, he's right. We've had Bloomberg was a celebrity that became mayor of New York. He didn't try to be fucking governor of New York. Nobody cares. Star power wise, this is the peak
second
for you.
most powerful position in the world.
And you can't be president, so that makes me trust you more. I just
Please, can
worry
you tell
that it
every
can't get
uncle
done.
that you can find that I can't be president? Every time an uncle takes a photo with me, they whisper in my ear, "President next." And I'm like, it's illegal. It's illegal.
No, tell them to vote for Vivek. So I'm gonna connect you. Y'all have more in common than you realize. That's my guy. The more I got to know him, the more I got to know him, the more Vivek.
Your Doge.
He was a new partition.
We don't need more Hindu-Muslim beef. We don't need more Hindu-Muslim beef.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Paisam.
अच्छा लग रहे हो. अच्छा लग रहे हो.
Oh my God, one word in.
Don't let me get my fucking Hindi off, bro.
Direct to camera, hit it.
You're from Uganda.
Yes.
You're from Uganda.
said
You're
it like a-
barely
like a
even
diss.
Indian.
I was like,
You're
it's
barely
true.
even Indian.
Whoa.
Wow. You're barely even Indian.
Yes,
You're
wait,
barely even Indian. Wait a minute.
You ever heard of migration?
No,
but they all these things together.
Didn't they
Can I
migrate?
be honest? The Indians in Africa are like the Indians in America assimilate a lot more. He's more Indian than most Indians born here.
But listen, I was looking up a little
And
bit of
his
your
mom's
history.
legend.
Didn't they actually remove
We were expelled in 1972.
Idi Amin.
My family was one of the
Idi Amin, right?
Yeah, my family was one of the very few families that went back after the expulsion.
Went back to Uganda.
Went back to Uganda. That's why I was born there in 91. So my family in 1972 were expelled. They became refugees in London and lived in a refugee camp. And then after the fall of Amin, they returned to Kampala. And so that's where I was born, 91.
Shit on that,
Yeah.
fuck boy.
I'm just saying, how shitty is London?
That's
You go back. You know what I mean? Like, how shitty is London?
two
What a
winters
dump.
in London.
See, public housing. You stayed in public housing for a few weeks, and you're like, we're gonna go back to Africa. I can't build it. Whoever built that camp, don't hire them to build the 200,000 units in New York. That's all I'm saying.
I
Ain't no
was
Second
wondering
Avenue.
where you were going to go. I was wondering where you were going to go. You were like, this is pretty sad. I got to shit on London.
no, but
I actually like London.
London's my favorite city.
Dishoom?
But yeah, no.
I'd bet.
No.
What? It's-
No. Brigadier's better. Dishoom, fine. Gymkhana, it's great for white people. That's Dishoom, fine.
My man likes
Gymkhana.
Vivek and
You're
doesn't like
really-
Dishoom.
Did it? Hold
You're
on.
really gonna love Gymkhana. You're gonna love it.
I tried Gymkhana.
In London?
Oh, it's a food place? What is it? I thought it was yoga.
It's one of my closest friends. I grew up with Gymkhana.
Shout out Bungalow. We love you. Okay, shout out Bungalow.
Bungalow Fire. They got another one.
Have you been to Bungalow yet?
I haven't been to Bungalow.
You haven't?
Oh, wow.
Let's go. I'll take you.
Let's go to Kebab.
Wow.
Kebab King I've done many times, but if I think it fell off a bit. But we'll go Desi Galaxy because all the good Indian food is in New Jersey.
Honestly, Edison.
Yeah, Desi Galaxy. That's my spot.
All right, guys, let's take a break for a second. Listen, have you ever noticed how from reality the economy saying that you want to look back? Let's get back to the show.
If you cannot accomplish all these things you set out to, are you aware of the pressure that's on you? Or are you aware of the domino effect that potentially comes with that?
Look,
There's
I think
some fear there.
I know there's definitely a lot of pressure. There's a lot of responsibility. I think oftentimes, though, the position of mayor, it's spoken about like it's a burden.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an immense opportunity. In fulfilling this agenda, you make it clear that politics can be more than choose between now and worse than now. as opposed to something that's better. And so to me, when I talk about freezing the rent, when I talk about making buses fast and free, delivering universal childcare, these are not slogans. These are not just slogans, they're commitments. And I know there's going to be immense pressure, but I also believe that once you start to succeed in your delivery of these things, the way you will see people's political imagination expand. We made 5 bus routes free in New York City. I went on them on the first day that program started. And the one in the Bronx was the BX18A. And I got on the bus. I was talking to the driver. He was like, today's been better because all I have to do is get from point A to point B. Don't have to talk about the fare. I'm just driving.
Yeah.
And then a nurse got on and she reached for her Metro card in her purse. The driver was like,
I got you, boo.
it's
I got
free.
you.
Yeah.
Yo,
This
sit
guy.
your ass
Look
down.
at this guy. Look at this guy. My man promoting ad-libs.
You didn't think he was trying to flex like he was off? He's like,
He's not trying to
it's
flex.
on me today, boo. It's on me. Take it
Let the man
serious.
paint a beautiful picture.
Go. What was she wearing?
You got the wrong candidate. You want to talk
I'm
about that?
clapping for 7 p.m.
Can't do that.
Clapping.
Can't do that.
She's reaching for her Metro card, and he's like, it's free, and she's like, what do you mean it's free? And he's like, no, don't just. They've made this one bus route free, and then she starts dancing down the aisle to her seat, and to me, this is an image of someone going to work at a hospital who has, for the first time in a long time, had government actually look out for her, and people said that we wouldn't be able to deliver that.
Yeah.
They said that we wouldn't be able to have more riders. We wouldn't have a decline in assaults on bus drivers, that there would be more homeless people on the buses. None of those things were true. And that's what I see, is that every time we succeed, it builds the coalition even more for the next success.
Yeah, I just worry some of the larger things won't happen, and that's what you'll get judged.
Which ones are you worried about?
I think the rent freeze is going to be tough. I think raising minimum wage to $30 an hour is great in theory. I would love it, but I think we often forget that corporations just, like, you try to tax a billionaire, they find a loophole. You make minimum wage $30 an hour, watch how much we automate these jobs. And I'm not saying that's good, but that's my fear. And then if suddenly these two major things don't happen, do we look at even getting free bus rides? Yeah, but that's who gives a fuck? It's free bus rides. They already had 5 free routes. It still sucked.
I think
I don't think you have much to worry about because Trump ran on building a wall and cleaning the swamp, and look, he's back being president. So it's like, if you don't get everything done, I don't think it's the end for his,
I disagree, but I don't want to get caught in that.
But I think, both of you are debating a premise that we can't accomplish these things. And my point to you is that it's an ambitious agenda, but it's one that I'm really confident in delivering.
The history of America's relationship with government is a very antagonistic one, right? Like the inception of America is fuck government, fuck people telling us what to do. The reason why I hope you can succeed is because I would love us to have more faith in government. If you've spent time abroad, you live in Europe, and it's like, yeah, they're annoyed at their government, but at the same time, they're kind of like, it's cool, I get healthcare. There's a little bit more faith and trust. And then you go to Scandinavia, and they're like, the government can do no wrong. They could literally they could kill 400 people, and the government would be like, the people would be like, I probably did something bad. They're just so trusting of the government. I think Americans need to see government working for them.
Yeah.
And
That's important.
if that actually works, I think it would be a really beautiful thing where we can start believing instead of being skeptical of every single thing.
Yeah. And I think the point here is that there will be many New Yorkers for whom I will have to deliver first to earn their trust. And I understand that.
White people.
No, look at your gray sweater. No. ALD
Not white
wearers.
people. Not white people. Don't do it for the white people. Don't do it for the white people.
Soho's gone.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit of the whites.
Where am I going to get my Frodo cappuccino?
Okay, Zara, we're having fun, Zara.
Zara's going to make so much money. It's unbelievable. I mean, I know she's got to work with you and build a kit, but when it's done, it's I told her, there's going to be warlords in the third world that are going to give her chests of gold to just come run their campaigns. This woman is talented.
It's a brilliant campaign.
Yeah, you're doing great, Zara. We're going to keep going just for a little longer.
Is anything standing in your way? You make it seem like, Albany's excited to, work with us, and, there's so much momentum and people are excited. So if things don't get done, whose fault will it be?
The status quo is standing in our way. And the reason that I'm excited is I think we have all of the ingredients to change that status quo. But the same people who've spent millions of dollars will still have an immense amount of money that they could use to try and spend in opposition once we're in government as well. And that's why, to me, the speed at which we deliver on a wide variety of things is critically important. That's why it's not just a plan to deliver universal childcare. It's also how do we take down scaffolding across New York City, right?
Yeah, I love this plan.
But my point is,
you hit on some specific shit. You're like halal cheaper and get rid of the scaffolding. And New Yorkers are like, yo, he's spaying.
It's like how could I begrudge someone refusing to believe in the ability for us to deliver universal childcare if their interaction with government is government's inability to deliver on removing one sidewalk shit?
This is what we're talking
Right? That's
about.
like you have to find every single interaction where government has failed New Yorkers and say this is an opportunity for me to do better. And the city has an opportunity to say not just to building owners what you should do. We have hundreds of sidewalk sheds at city-owned properties that have been up for more than 3 years. We could take those down ourselves. We don't have to wait on anybody. And my point is, let's be the example. Let's show that efficiency and waste and actually following through on our commitments is not an Elon Musk idea. It's actually for us
The Vivek
to do.
Ramaswamy idea. Anyway, point is,
It is a Vivek idea. And he wanted to do it the real way. But anyway, go on.
You have the support of Hochul in Albany. How come the other establishment Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer haven't endorsed you?
Talk that shit, though. Talk that real shit.
Talk that real shit. I've appreciated the conversations I've had with them. And the reason I've appreciated it is a lot of the talk in our politics is just about what's in 2 weeks, the election. But to me, one of the most important dates is not just November 4th, though you should sign up, register to vote by October 25th. You got a little bit of time left. It's January 1st. And I'm going to be working with Congressman Jeffries, with Senator Schumer, on delivering this affordability agenda. And that's something that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there
That's the
specific?
political answer.
Give us that real shit, man.
Like the party. You got the party energized right now. You're the Democratic nominee for New York. Like, why wouldn't they get?
Why is the
behind
party
you?
running against you? That
Like
shit
the
is
party
crazy.
needs to come together. Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why, like, many lifelong Democrats, like myself, have been disillusioned by the party because it's like, why aren't you accepting the will of the people?
They did it to Bernie.
They did it to Bernie twice, right? They tried to do it again during this election. It's like, when do we get to take part in the democratic process? And when we do get to take part in the democratic process, when do you respect that? They might disagree with you, but it's not up to them. This is the will of the people. So if the people want to see this through, why are they spending millions of dollars to stop it? It's very frustrating. I think it undermines democracy.
I think in if you look at Andrew Cuomo and I, in the primary now in the general, it is in many ways a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party. Right? It's two very different visions. And the things that we like to say are exclusively Republican problems, we saw a lot of them in the Democratic primary. Right? It wasn't a Republican that sent a mailer that artificially lengthened my beard. It wasn't a Republican that called me. I appreciate that, man.
You just
If you
so
meant that
handsome with a big beard. You just, it was my Photoshop.
I thought you were being sincere.
What you went through is unbelievable.
But my point is that that's from a man that at one point was being spoken about as being the next president of this country.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to forget now that we watch Andrew Cuomo on stage.
Yeah.
But not that long ago, people were saying he should be the next
you were
president of this
saying that,
country.
fucking idiot.
Who?
Well, you said that.
When I say that?
You said that early in COVID, before we found
Before
out.
he murdered everybody.
Run the tape.
Before he murdered everybody, we
Can you
loved
make sure you
him.
get the
That was
clip
a
in?
private conversation that Mary got in public.
We loved the meatballs talking. It was
Because I'm
good
not a good
meatball
person.
talk every night with him and his brother. It was
go for it.
fun.
Yes.
We were locked in.
okay.
We're waiting for the last dance.
I might ask you a question. You might not want to answer this, but this is something I see. Brown guy to brown guy.
BG to
A lot
BG.
of people like. There's an anti-Semitic label.
Thanks.
Anti-Semitic label that happens. Do you think that happens if you're not Muslim? Because I've looked into what you said. It seems like you denounce anti-Semitism.
I do.
You criticize Israel. A lot of times it gets conflated, but the label won't stick unless there's another outside factor.
I do think that Andrew Cuomo, there are a number of things that he has said and done he would not have done if I weren't a Muslim candidate. And it is all too familiar for a lot of Muslim New Yorkers who grew up in this city to see the speaking up for Palestinian human rights to then be labeled as if it is bigotry against the Jewish faith. And what I've appreciated is that for all of the fear-mongering that he's done, there are so many Jewish New Yorkers who are able to see through that, and that I can look through his fear-mongering and still reckon with anti-Semitism in this city and talk about the real ways that will actually root it out.
Yeah.
It's not how Andrew Cuomo wants to weaponize it. It's, are you going to increase funding for hate crime prevention programs? Are you going to ensure that the NYPD are outside of synagogues and temples on the Jewish high holy days? Are you going to actually have a curriculum like Hidden Voices taught in schools that celebrates the breadth and the beauty of Jewish life?
And you will do all of these things.
All of these things. And that's what's been so frustrating, is that this is a real concern that many Jewish New Yorkers have, and here's a guy who's just using it for political purposes.
And I think we all laughed at the Israel moment, and it was ridiculous to watch. But I knew the reason everyone was hammering you on it on that stage. It was like it was pretty obvious.
There was another thing that I thought was hilarious, like the picture with you with the imam and the New York Post put in the front page, and I'm like, holy shit, this looks bad. And then I look him up, and like Bloomberg campaigned with him, and Mayor Adams campaigned with him. I'm like, wait, okay, so what exactly is going on here? And then I think Cuomo said something where he goes, look at him standing with this guy who's homophobic. Like he even detached himself from the World Trade Center bombing thing because he knew it was a
Well,
fugazi.
unindicted co-conspirator is translation for man who is not found guilty of anything.
Yeah.
It's like, I obviously object to a number of things that the imam has said about queer New Yorkers, and I am able to still stand there and speak to him while having a platform to defend those same queer New Yorkers, celebrate and cherish them in the city.
Yeah.
And Andrew Cuomo is always looking to distract from the fact that he has no plan.
I'm not
for
asking
that.
you to justify yourself. I'm just showing you that there are these campaigns that are put out there, and people will twist the truth and like this. It doesn't only happen with politicians. It happens like anybody famous. You know what I mean? So it's like, and you're getting the brunt of it. And I think you've handled it like with a lot of class, to be honest with you.
that.
Like, I know what it's like for the internet to say something about me that is completely false, and then people just believe it. And you are existing in this, and you're lucky enough to have a message that resonates with people where they can refute those lies that people say about you. I don't know if that's luck. I think that might be like talent, like you earned it. But it is fortunate that there are people that will be vocal despite the criticism that they might endure. Like, yeah, it's pretty. That's pretty awesome that you're touching people like that. I genuinely hope that like what you're presenting can be executed. I mean that sincerely. I mean that sincerely.
I appreciate it.
I know that there's going to be a lot of opposition. You know that more than anything. You've been in government, and I just hope you have the political capital to push it through. And I hope that these decisions actually make life better for New Yorkers. And I hope if you find that they don't, that you won't be caught up in your ego, and you will be able to pivot for the best of New
It
York.
always has to be for the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that
Always
is
has to be for
like
the city
just
of New York.
sometimes we make
That's really
decisions
important.
and we have the best intentions behind those decisions, and they don't work out. And the politicians or the leaders in general that are willing to go, that wasn't the right thing, we can make that
You can
pivot.
actually grow.
Dude, we'll like you even more for acknowledging it, and we'll feel even safer.
And I also think this is, it's a part of being human,
Yeah.
right? To be able to reflect and to be committed more to a mission than it is to yourself.
Yeah.
And look, like I came on this show for me, it was bad for New York. Right? I'm learning that. I'm not going to come back because it was a selfish decision. But I can learn
just
that.
wanna hang
It's
out
an
with the boys.
expensive lesson. It's an expensive lesson. What's the odds at right now? Probably like
51%.
You have to win because I bet him $1,000 that you would win.
Okay,
he bet against you. That's crazy.
I had a guy I
I
hadn't
didn't have
spoken
faith
to.
in the people.
I had a guy I hadn't spoken to since high school text me like 5 days before the election. Goes, yo, bro, I just put 1,000 on you. Like, please don't let me down.
Okay, Zara is trying to get you at it. Where do you have to go next?
Procurement press conference.
Okay,
What does that mean? What does that mean?
What are you procuring?
Yeah.
we're talking about how to cut down on waste.
I love
Nice.
this. You're
you wanna
talking my
come?
language. I will. If we have another Potter.
I gotta prove It's about this efficiency game.
No, we're gonna go to bungalow, and then we're gonna talk, and then I'll be there. I'll be there with you.
Come out, King.
Okay.
Okay.
Before you go, Joey, bring in the bench press because he has to.
Why are you sitting at bench?
Every year, I'm gonna do 1 pound more.
Let's go.
Next year, 136.
Let's go.
The year after that,
As soon as
137.
you got on that bench, I was like, you fucked up, dude.
Yeah, let me tell you.
shouldn't have done it.
I knew I fucked up when I saw that. You think I thought I was gonna kill it? I knew there was a problem. And this guy was like, "You gotta do it." I was like, "You gotta do it." I was like, I really don't
You should have put the big 10-pound weights on. You know them big 10-pound?
yeah.
I was trying to get
It was all.
Now you got it.
I was trying to, but next year 136.
Okay. Watch you just
Promises I can keep.
Let's just do
136.
You didn't keep 135. You're gonna get 136.
He's gonna get there. He's
Strike
gonna
that
get
from the edit.
Zohran Mamdani, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time. Man. I appreciate
there.
it.
Thank you so much.
I hope you guys you liked it, guys. Let's see if he wins or not, but he's really energetic, really knowledgeable of what he's talking about, So let's see who wins, and that's all from my side. I'll see you again. Have a good night.